No top 10 list is perfect. Everyone is subjective. Everyone has their own experiences, their own tastes, their own views on what makes a bad match bad. And I'm no different. I've been watching wrestling for, what, 25 years? My experience with bad matches is limited to everything I've seen from 1998, that would be WrestleMania 14, till modern day. Some of you have been watching since the 80s, most of you have been watching since the 2000s. So it's almost impossible to make an objectively bad top 10 list. Everyone's list is going to be different. If there is a match you feel should be on here, just go ahead and leave it down below in the comments. Matter of fact, even if you agree with the list, I still want to know what your top 10 worst matches of all time for WWE, not NWA or AWA, not WCW, not ECW, not even AEW, or, you know, Heroes of Wrestling. So before we get started, let me explain a couple of things. I will be judging these matches based off of the following: the story of the match, the quality of the match, and the long-term effects of the match. And the reason why I have this criteria is because there's way too many awful matches that's happened in WWE, WWF, even WWF. So when looking at this criteria, I've done my best not to allow Dave Meltzer's star ratings to affect me. While there are matches that Dave has rated very low that I agree with, at the end of the day, Dave is a fan just like me. There are going to be matches he likes that I don't like, and vice versa. I also hate to disappoint some of you, but there are no Mabel matches on here. Yeah, I know, Mabel, Viscera, Big Daddy V didn't make the list. Although if I had to pick a match to be on the list, it would be that match with Diesel at SummerSlam 1995. That was awful. But let's not pretend he's one of the worst things to ever happen to wrestling. I think everybody's okay. Also not on the list, Great Khali. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Great Khali, by a mile. That being said, I understood exactly what they were going for. A dominant giant that comes in and wrecks the roster. And if you beat him, it's a big deal. They've done this story 10,000 times. Other times it's been better, other times not so much. And as much as some of you hate him, there are no Hogan matches on here.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Keep in mind, this is WWE. If we were doing WCW matches, oh, absolutely, he would definitely be on the list. His match with Warrior at Halloween Havoc 1998, one of the worst matches I've ever seen. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be on someone's list. I just think for a WWE only list, sure, he's had his stinkers, but they were harmless. I wouldn't call them top 10 worst of all time. Also, I won't include any comedy matches. That means no 24/7 title matches, no hardcore evening gown match, no midget matches, or Donald Trump versus Rosie O'Donnell matches. Also, real quick, this is our wrestling match list, so no boxing matches. That means no Brawl for All and no Roddy Piper versus Mr. T. So with that out of the way, let's get to our honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
These are matches that didn't make the list but deserve to be mentioned because of how horrible they are. One noteworthy one is Undertaker versus Johnny Gonzalez from WrestleMania 9. Now, a lot of people are going to be upset this didn't make the top 10. And while the match is absolutely horrible, even Taker would tell you, the overall story wasn't that bad. I mean, Johnny Gonzalez had to use chloroform to put out the dead man, and then when Taker was getting taken away on a stretcher, he got up and beat up Johnny Gonzalez anyways. No harm done to Taker, he was well protected, and that's about it. We move on. One fun match that's going around right now is a match called That Jackie Gator match. This is a random match between Miss Jackie, before she was Miss Jackie, Jackie Gator, teaming with Christopher Nowalski to take on Trish Stratus, and before he was JBL, Bradshaw. Yeah, it was awful. Miss Jackie Gator was not great. She had 2 minutes of in-ring time. It was a stinker. That being said, it was only 2 minutes and the match was 5. Was it really that bad? Okay, this one got a lot of votes but didn't quite make it. Bayley versus Alexa Bliss, Extreme Rules 2017. The very definition of character assassination. Bayley at one point was the most over babyface in all of wrestling, not just WWE, period. Everywhere she went, she got massive pops, she got Bayley chants, her merchandise was flying off the stands. And then she got called up to the main roster, where Vince McMahon got his grubby hands on her. And once that happened, it was all over. Started off nice, she won the Raw Women's Championship, and then she had a feud with Alexa Bliss, which led to a match that felt like it was pulled out of the anatomy of Vince Russo. Candlestick on a pole match? What the hell is that? So it's essentially what it is. It's a candlestick on a pole match where if you grab the candlestick, you can use it, which is already a terrible concept But on top of that, the match was terrible. Bayley and Alexa don't have good chemistry, and sometimes that's gonna happen. It's just, they just never figured it out. Even nowadays, their matches are terrible. But this one in particular hurts because Bayley got the kendo stick and she didn't want to use it. She felt like it would violate her goody two-shoe personality if she used the kendo stick in a match that literally said it was legal to use the kendo stick. So as you can imagine, Alexa Bliss gets the kendo stick, beats her ass with it, and then wins the match. This absolutely killed her character, to the point that the very next night on Raw, the fans booed her. Think about that. This woman went from being the most over-beloved babyface to being booed heavily over one match. To this day, I don't think Bayley has fully recovered, although she would go on to win championships. I still don't think she managed to get back to the level she was in 2016. Another match that didn't quite make the list, Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon, WrestleMania 26. I think if you're a Bret Hart fan, this would be in your top 10. To a lot of people, Bret Hart is seen as the greatest wrestler, period. In his prime, very few people, if anybody, could touch him. So imagine being a Bret Hart fan. This guy has been gone for 12 years. The last time you saw him in the WWE ring was the Montreal Screwjob 1997. He comes back and he's thrown into a feud against the guy that screwed him. WrestleMania 26. Man, if I'm a Bret Hart fan, I am looking forward to this. And then I watch the match. Oh my God. Bret is slow. He is out of shape. He is nowhere close to the prime he used to be. Keep this in mind. His last WrestleMania match before this was against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. A match that many consider to be the greatest wrestling match ever. To go from that to what is easily a shell of his former self is extremely depressing. So if I'm a Bret Hart fan, I can see myself throwing this in my top 10. I didn't hate the match enough to throw it in my top 10 because the story was still there. The hype for this match was amazing. Bret Hart faking an injury to trick Vince McMahon into having a match with him. Vince McMahon thinks he's bought out the Hart family only for all of them to turn on him during the match. Like, the storytelling for this match is phenomenal. And I think that is what saved it from being in my top 10. To see one of the greatest of all time be reduced to this, it just goes to show you that the most dominant force in wrestling is Father Time himself. The last match that didn't make the list but almost did was The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton from WrestleMania 37. I mean, what the hell is this? Someone explain to me what the hell this is supposed to be. We talk about character assassination. Oh my God. This entire storyline was a mess. You had Alexa Bliss haunting Randy Orton for burning the Fiend alive. A man got burned alive, for Christ's sake. We're talking arson, witchcraft, doppelgangers, all kinds of supernatural shit, which would be fine if the story was told properly. Let me tell you something, the story sucked. I mean, for Christ's sake, Alexa Bliss pinned Randy Orton. Yes, that happened. Alexa Bliss has a pinfall victory over Randy Orton. For the record, this photo of Alexa Bliss straddling Randy Orton pissed off Randy Orton's wife. For the Fiend to have all this build up to come back and get his revenge, only for Alexa Bliss to do whatever the hell this is and lose to one RKO, and then we get no explanation for what happened, no follow-up, it just ends and then Bray Wyatt is fired. That, my friends, is peak Vince McMahon telling the audience, screw you, I do whatever the hell I want, whether you like it or not. Awful. 1000% deserves to be on someone's top 10 list, just not mine. I'm certain there are other matches that could have been thrown in the top 10 that really deserve it. With that said, how's about we get to the actual top 10 list? Before I even talk about it, I'm gonna rewatch every single match that's on this list and then give you my reaction afterwards. I figured it would make things a lot more interesting. Number 10 is one I've already seen. I don't need to see it again, and I think you all can agree this deserves to be on here.
Number 10, the 2015 Royal Rumble.
When I think about a match that personifies Vince McMahon being out of touch, this guy who just hates everything about professional wrestling fans because they don't like what he likes and he can't figure out why. There's no other match that personifies that than the Royal Rumble 2015 match. First off, look at the lineup. You had people like Sin Cara, Zack Ryder, Stardust, Adam Rose, Jack Swagger, Ryback, Titus O'Neil, Curtis Axel, who by the way didn't get eliminated, which turned into a storyline, Axelmania, which led to him teaming with Damien Sandow and doing a cosplay tag team. God, this year sucked. Listen, the whole point of the Rumble is to get you excited about WrestleMania. This is supposed to be the top 30 men that could potentially be world champion. When you see all these jobbers, and no offense to them, but they are jobbers. They were booked like jobbers. I'm not saying they're all bad talent, but when Vince McMahon books you like a jobber, when Vince McMahon tells me you're not supposed to be taken seriously, I don't take you seriously. And the majority of the people in this Rumble were that. Jobbers. You had Bray Wyatt, you had Dolph Ziggler, you had Dean Ambrose, but in the grand scheme of things, they didn't matter. Because they would ultimately get tossed out by Big Show and Kane. Big Show and Kane. Big Show and yes, I know, Hall of Famers, legends, I respect them, but this is like what? By this point, 10 years past their prime? Regardless, they were way past their prime. No one wanted to see Big Show and Kane toss out their favorites. But the most egregious thing about this Rumble were two things. The first one had to do with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was the fan favorite. He just came back from injury, and this is a man that never lost his world championship. After having one of the greatest moments at WrestleMania, fans were excited to see him come back and reclaim his throne. He comes into the match with one of the biggest pops, and within 10 minutes, he's gone. By the way, the other two were Bubba Ray Dudley and DDP, legends, as in people who don't work full time. And then the next thing that follows is Goldust's theme song, Shattered Dreams. You cannot tell me he didn't do that on purpose. There was no way in hell they brought back Daniel Bryan, knowing the fans wanted to see him win, knowing the fans wanted to see him get back what he never lost. You could have still done him versus Roman Reigns at Fastlane. It's just fans wouldn't have been as upset if you just didn't bring him back until afterwards. They knew exactly what they were doing, and that, my friends, is unacceptable. That is a big, giant middle finger to the audience. And then to add the cherry on top, here comes Roman Reigns. Now by this point, Roman Reigns was clearly seen as the chosen one. It didn't help matters that he was already getting heat from CM Punk's shoot interview with Cole Cabana. But regardless, he was the guy. He was the one going out there saying suffering succotash and cutting promos about Jack and the Beanstalk and tater tots. And then he had a catchphrase that said, "Believe that," still wearing the Shield gear. Oh my God, he was cringy. Like, real talk, Roman Reigns nowadays is 10 times better than this Roman Reigns. So knowing how good he is now, it is painful going back to see him in this state. He was nowhere close to being ready to main event WrestleMania. It didn't matter because Vince McMahon deemed him worthy. And whether you liked it or not, he was gonna push him. They had to know that was not gonna work. And you know what? I bet you they did know, because right at the end when Roman Reigns eliminates Big Show and Kane, here comes The Rock to make the save. They were so aware that the fans were not going to like the results, they called in The Rock to save it. And not even The Rock could save it. The moment Roman Reigns wins the match and The Rock raises his arm, the fans booed them both out of the arena. You know a match sucks when The Rock gets booed. This is The Rock, one of the greatest of all time, the man that everybody loves. Not even he could save this monstrosity. This match was so bad, it took Roman Reigns 5 years to recover from it. 5 years, by the way, that included WrestleMania main event matches. The fans rejected him at every single one. And all that started because of this match. This is Vince McMahon dropping his trousers and taking a steaming shit on what the fans want. For that very reason, I have to say, this is one of the worst matches I have ever seen in WWE history. But at least it's not the worst multi-person match I've ever seen. That one's coming next. Okay, it's been a minute since I've seen Miss WrestleMania's Battle Royal from WrestleMania 25. I was there live for this match, so I can't imagine it's any better watching it at home. I am going to rewatch it before I give you guys my thoughts. I'm not looking forward to it, so I'll see you in a bit.
Number 9. The Miss WrestleMania 25 Diva Battle Royale.
Okay, no, I am crying. Why? Why am I crying? Jesus Christ. I was quickly reminded how much Vince hated the Divas. I don't even know where to start with this? I mean, I guess I can just tell you what happened. The match started with a Kid Rock concert, and then we see divas come out. No announcement of who they are. They just all come out and start dancing. And there's 25 of them. Some past, some present. I was watching wrestling at this time. There was no advertisement for this. I knew nothing about it. I didn't know who was in it. I found out about it like everyone else did when it happened. So the bell rings, ding, 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 and next thing you know, we see these women just start flying out of the ring. Are they supposed to go over the top rope, or do they just get tossed out? We don't know. They're just getting tossed out of the ring. That was never explained. And you know how we find out who's in this match? When they're eliminated. Did you guys know that Sunny was in this match? Oh, you didn't? Great. Neither did I. No one knew who was in this match until they were eliminated. Sure, you could pick out a few. You saw Melina, you saw Mickie James, you saw the Bella Twins. These are the people you see in small spurts, and that's the only way you know they're in the match. But imagine being in the arena and you're not able to see the screen, and then all of a sudden
you hear, Tori Wilson has been eliminated. Molly Holly has been eliminated. Yeah, it's like that.
They're all just flying out of the ring, left and right, left and right. And then we see Santino Marella, dressed in drag, standing inside the ring after all the women toss themselves out. Justin Roberts gets in the ring with Candice Michelle, by the way, and he's like, who are you? And he goes, I'm Santino Marella. And then he announces Santino Marella as Mrs. WrestleMania. You know all those Divas matches we got in the past decade that were like 30 seconds, 2 minutes long? You ever just think Vince hated Divas because he just didn't like women he couldn't control? Because the women that got a lot of TV time were the ones that were with it. I'm just saying. I don't think any of these Divas really cared or wanted to do any of those things with Vince. As a result, he essentially treated them like garbage. We talk about wrestling being a man's world and how women are not taken seriously and not seen on the same level. You can sit here all day and tell me it's because they're not good inside the ring, which is bullshit. We've seen multiple times of that being not the case. But the most egregious example of all that is this. You had a man win a Divas Battle Royal. You didn't give us a single chance to understand what's going on, who's in the match. It was all a joke. A big fat joke to Vince McMahon, the audience of one. Once again, taking a steaming shit on what wrestling is. Every diva in this match looked horrible coming out of it. Matter of fact, who was in this match? Eve Torres, Jillian Hall, Katie Lee Burchill, the Bella Twins, Beth Phoenix, Alicia Fox, Kelly Kelly, Layla, Maurice, Michelle McCool, Melina, Mickie James, Maria, Natalia, Rosa Mendez, Tiffany, Victoria, Tori Wilson, Sunny, Miss Jackie, Molly Holly, Joy Giovanni. I don't even think did she even win Diva Search? Listen, say what you want about the Divas back in the day. The 30-second to 2-minute matches, when you are booked like a joke and you are told that these women are jokes, then you treat them like jokes. You wanna know why people say the Divas are a bathroom break? This match is an example of why. It is a giant steaming pile of crap and a black mark on female wrestling. And everyone, and I mean everyone involved, hated it. Except Vince McMahon. One of the worst matches in WWE history, but we still got more to go. So, I'm looking at number 8. I think it's appropriate because that's how long the match lasted. I haven't seen this match in a while. I am actually gonna watch it. And you know what? I'm not gonna stop recording. I'm gonna play it while the camera is going, because it's that short. But before I play the match, I need to explain why this is here. Originally, this wasn't in my top 10. I think deep down I suppressed it because of how much it pissed me off. And then something happened. As I was doing my polls, this match kept winning. And so I sat back and I thought, why was this match winning? And the more I thought about it, yeah, this should definitely be in the top 10. So let me rewatch it real quickly. Even the time step on YouTube is short. It's literally 1 minute and 25 seconds. Kofi Kingston was somebody that the fans connected with naturally. Everyone remembers Kofi Mania. Kofi was with the company for 11 years, and he had gotten no love as a main event player. The last time we tried it was 2009, and we know what happened with that one. So 11 years since he saw a main event push. And this push came as a result of Mustafa Ali getting hurt. It was supposed to be his run, but then they said, okay, we gotta get someone else, and they chose Kofi Kingston. This easily was Kofi's greatest achievement. I truly believe that Kofi, to this day, is one of wrestling's best performers. The problem is, like a lot of people in WWE, they don't book him like it. Kofi Kingston was never booked to be taken seriously. He was never seen as a Hulk Hogan, as a Stone Cold Steve Austin, as a Rock, as a John Cena. He was just seen as a guy, but that's not how we saw him. Fans waited for over a decade to see Kofi get what was his. And this was the year they were not accepting anything else. So when Kofi got that push and he beat Daniel Bryan, at WrestleMania, it got one of the biggest reactions that company has ever seen. It was a massive moment. Kofi Kingston became the second black man to win the WWE Championship. The first one being The Rock, although some find that debatable because he's Samoan, he is black, half black, but still, first black world champion. But then when he won the title, nothing changed. He was still goofy, New Day Kofi Kingston. He didn't advance his character. He didn't do anything different. He never fully embraced his role as the best in the company, or at least one of the best. He was just a guy carrying a belt. And for Kofi Kingston to get one of the biggest reactions, the biggest moments at a WrestleMania, to then lose to Brock Lesnar in 8 seconds. And for what? So Brock Lesnar can go on to fight Cain Velasquez at some Saudi Arabia show? What was that show? Crown Jewel? Yeah, Crown Jewel 2019. That was actually a match that was mentioned. They used this match to build to that awful match, which makes what happened here even worse. It was WWE's way of once again crapping on the fans. They never wanted Kofi to be a world champ. They always saw him as a joke. After he lost the belt, he went right back to joking and smiling and pretending like he was never champion. That 6-month run meant absolutely nothing to him. We never came back to this. There was never a follow-up. We got nothing from Kofi Kingston losing to Brock Lesnar. And even now, I can't really say Kofi Kingston recovered. I mean, they addressed it in interviews, but his on-screen character just acts like he was never a world champion. I think there were a couple of segments that addressed it, but he never went after the belt ever again. Man, the more I talk about it, the more I understand why fans voted for this match. This was an atrocity. What a way to destroy the fan favorite. It's no wonder fans were losing interest in WWE around this point. That said, I hope Kofi is able to have a championship run before he's too old. Otherwise, we might have a match like number 7. So, I have a confession to make. I've never actually sat down and watched this match. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I've never seen DX versus Taker and Kane. This will be my first time watching it. I'm terrified. But a lot of people say it's one of the worst matches I've ever seen. We're about to find out. Here we go.
Number 7. D-Generation X versus the Brothers of Destruction.
Jesus Christ. I think I need a break. I heard stories about how bad this match was. And even then, I was like, okay, it couldn't have been as bad as everyone is making it out to be. Sure, they're all past their prime, so I'm not expecting a 5-star classic. No. Holy shit. Listen, Shawn Michaels, by the way, one of the greatest of all time. All 4 of these men, easily one of the best performers to ever walk through a WWE ring. But Shawn Michaels is another level above the cut. Even for his age at the time, I think he was in his 50s, I know that, he still looked good. And that is the problem. I thought Shawn looked so good that he made the other 3 men look so old, so out of shape, so slow. I don't know what they were thinking doing this match at this point in time. Taker's body was broken down. Kane was nowhere near as good as he was. Triple H could still have a match, but was very injury prone. Speaking of injury prone, Homeboy tore his pec, which is why this match suffered as bad as it did. Now you would think, all right, well, cut the match short, let's go home. No, this match drug out for 30 minutes, and Shawn had to carry the brunt of it. I don't give a damn how good Shawn Michaels is. I don't think prime Shawn Michaels could make that work. It's another indication that the most dominant force in wrestling is Father Time. You never want to see your favorites grow old and look as bad as this. Hell, the match was so bad that when Shawn Michaels got backstage, he literally said, "Missed it by that much." Even the wrestlers admit that the match sucked. I shudder to think how bad this match would be if Shawn wasn't in it. There was a part on the outside where Triple H was supposed to Irish whip Taker into the barricade. It literally looks like they were holding hands, skipping into the barricade. And then the infamous spot where Shawn hits Kane so hard, his mask came off. When Kane's mask came off, I stopped taking it seriously. At that point, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Oh, and Shawn does a moonsault in this match, but unfortunately, Kane and Taker are so old, they can't catch him properly. So Shawn ends up falling on his face. This match felt like it was underwater. Everything looked slow. Nothing looked good. Even their moves. The pedigree, two of the worst pedigrees I have ever seen were executed in this match. Granted, Triple H was injured, so he couldn't hook the arms, but still, the way Kane and Taker sold it was just horrifically bad. And there were fans in the arena chanting, "This is awesome." I'm like, are y'all just chanting it just to chant it? Without a doubt, one of the worst matches I've seen these four have. This was rock bottom for Shawn Michaels. I hope he comes back and makes up for it. Seriously, we gotta talk about it. Shawn Michaels had the perfect retirement when he faced Taker both times at WrestleMania 25 and 26 and lost. That was the perfect way for him to go out. He needs to come back and have one match against literally anybody that's capable. Dolph Ziggler. Hell, didn't AJ Styles and Kevin Owens offer to have a match with him? You are capable of at least doing one more match to at least wash the taste of this monstrosity. This is by far the worst tag match I've seen in WWE thus far. And it's made worse because of who's in it. Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kane. Four of the greatest performers to ever walk through a WWE ring. I don't care how old they are. It should never be this bad. A black mark on all of their careers. And unfortunately for The Undertaker, it gets worse. What is the next match anyways? Oh God! Okay, let me power through this one. I'm about to rewatch Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
Number 6. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg.
Yeah, we're definitely taking a break. Jesus Christ. I think this one hurts more than previous matches because when you think about dream matches, especially back then, one of them, for me, was Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. When you talk about two of the most destructive, dominant, android-like characters, two names that come to mind are Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. I watched Goldberg during his undefeated streak when he was in WCW. I watched Brock Lesnar from his debut in 2002, beating The Rock at SummerSlam to what he is now. This match was one of the most hyped I have ever been as a fan to see. The build-up was amazing. Brock Lesnar cost Goldberg the Rumble match. Goldberg cost Brock Lesnar his championship against Eddie Guerrero. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the special guest referee. Oh man, this was gonna be freaking awesome. Then the news came out that Brock Lesnar was leaving WWE to go back to the NFL. He was leaving, and the fans knew it. The moment the bell rung, the fans turned on the match. It was over before it even begun. Both men were done. They didn't even give it their bare minimum. They just did what they had to do to get it out of the way, get past it, hit all the spots, and then leave. And what you got was easily one of the worst WrestleMania matches I have personally ever seen. This is one of those matches that make you stop liking wrestlers. I was the biggest Goldberg fan going into this match. Once it was over, I said, screw this guy. I don't give a damn. I don't ever want to see him again. I went in as a fan of both men, came out hating both of them. Because if this was what they were gonna do, if they were gonna go into this match, not even thinking about the fans, but thinking about themselves, shitting on the business, screw them both. Now luckily, they would come back and make up for it in 2016 with that amazing return for Goldberg. And then another match at WrestleMania 33, which was just as good. Ultimately, it didn't really hurt their careers, but still, when you go back and watch this match, you can't help but get pissed off. It is easily one of the worst matches, period, in WWE history. It's a match that should have been a classic, but it ended up being a complete shit show. Trust me, it doesn't get better. I know what the next match is, and I'm already depressed. I've only seen it once. I don't want to watch it again. But I have a rule. I'm sticking to it. So let's rewatch Goldberg versus Undertaker. Super Showdown.
Number 5. The Undertaker versus Goldberg.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this one short. I hate this match with every fiber of my being. This was the match. When it was over, I was begging for both of these men to retire. Goldberg was coming in on and off at this point, having all these money matches that didn't do anything for anybody, just losing, sometimes winning. Sorry, Dolph. He was coming in for the money, and it was embarrassing. He got worse and worse and worse and worse as time went by. And this right here, this is Goldberg's rock bottom. There was one spot in this match where he tried to jackhammer Taker and he dropped him on his head. I think Matt Riddle released a video basically calling Goldberg the worst wrestler of all time. I don't believe that, but believe me, I was furious enough to want to say it. But as done as I was with Goldberg, I was nowhere near as done with him as I was with The Undertaker. When this match ended, and I saw that look on his face where even he went, God, this is shit, I was begging for him to retire. It was just depressing to see him in this state. He has broken his body down for our entertainment to the point that he can barely walk. His entire anatomy has to be made of metal. If they did a full x-ray of his body, he would look like the Terminator. It is that bad. And it made me so angry at WWE for even going through with this match, because literally no one wanted it. And again, just like DX versus the Brothers of Destruction, if they had done this match in like 2000, 2005, even 2010, it would have been fire. But in 2019, my friends, it is way too goddamn late. You knew it was too goddamn late, but you still trotted out both of these men way past their prime and expected them to do what? And somehow they were shocked that the match was as bad as it was. How, Sway? How did you not see this match not working out? To me, this is Taker's worst match. It is worse than Giant Gonzalez. It is worse than Taker versus Taker. It is worse than anything you could possibly imagine. And I am so glad he has retired and moved on with his life, because if I had to sit through one more of these matches, my respect for Taker would have dwindled beyond recovery, because he always talked about retiring before people thought he was too old, and he was past that point by this time. I feel like I'm being too generous just making it number 5, but here we are. Actually, I take that back. When you see what the other matches are, you'll understand why this is only number 5. But if I see this match at number 1 on anyone else's list, best believe you will not get any arguments from me. Alright, new day, new me. I'm ready to go. Let's continue the list. Number 4 is
Number 4. Al Snow versus Big Boss Man. The Kennel from Hell.
I think I should start off by explaining how we got here. There was a storyline involving Al Snow and Big Boss Man. By the way, rest in peace to Big Boss Man, who passed away due to a heart attack. We all know Al Snow as that guy who was a psychopath that walked around talking to a mannequin head called Head. Well, around this time, he traded Head for a dog named Pepper. Somewhere in the midst of all this, Big Boss Man kidnaps Pepper. We end up seeing Big Boss Man bringing Al Snow to his hotel room and feeding him some food. Plot twist, the food is Pepper. Yeah, Big Boss Man killed the dog and made Al Snow eat it. Yeah, you know, that old movie trope we've seen other times. And yeah, that's the premise for this match. Kennel from Hell. Al Snow versus Big Boss Man. The idea is we hold them inside a cell, and outside that cell, we have rabid dogs running around ready to beat off their bones, and the guys have to escape both cages to win the match. I guess on paper that sounds interesting. Here's the problem: the dogs were far from rabid. I mean, it's been talked about in documentaries for over a decade now. This match from day one was set up to fail. The dogs that were hired were not trained. They were pooping, peeing, fornicating with each other, literally everything else but being what they were supposed to be, rabid dogs trying to feed off of their bones. And the entire match was worked around these dogs being intimidating. So the moment you realize they weren't, it all fell apart. And so Al Snow and Big Boss Man were just left to improv a dead match. And Jesus Christ, there was no saving it. The crowd was dead. Jen Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, as legendary as they were, they couldn't save it. And you're left just sitting through 15 minutes of awful television. I think it's funny we look upon the Attitude Era as like the golden age of wrestling. This came from the Attitude Era. Just goes to show you not everything is perfect from the Attitude Era. Just like not everything is perfect from any era in wrestling. It doesn't mean the Attitude Era was never good. We should be able to look at things from a realistic standpoint and still appreciate it. We don't have to see everything through rose-tinted glasses. Please remind yourself, no matter how bad the matches can be, it can never be as bad as this. This is a match that even Al Snow looks back on and goes, that is the worst wrestling match I have ever seen, and he was in it. Yeah, I got nothing else to say here. This match freaking sucked. Sad to say, it's not the worst cage match in WWE history. Let's just get to it.
Number 3. The Miz versus Damian Priest. Zombie Lumberjack match.
I almost don't want to talk about this. What the actual fuck were they thinking? So Damian Priest, Miz, John Morrison, they all did this feud with Bad Bunny for WrestleMania, and this is the continuation of it, just with no Bad Bunny. So this was a time during the pandemic when the WWE didn't have fans. They had fans for WrestleMania, but they weren't able to go back to weekly shows, not just yet. So we were in the midst of a Thunderdome era with WWE that had a lot of cinematic matches, which gave Vince McMahon all the leverage he needed to do crappy shit like this. This was Vince following through on a sponsorship he had with Army of the Dead, a movie that was on Netflix involving Dave Bautista. I mean, the movie wasn't bad. I saw it once, but as you know, they paid for an advertisement, and so Vince decided, hey, I'm gonna take a feud on TV and make that my advertisement. And what you got was one of the worst matches in WWE history. This is the type of match that makes you just not want to watch wrestling anymore. I don't know a single person that saw this match and went, yeah, that was fun. No one liked this. Man, I don't know how much money they made off of this, but it wasn't worth it. The moment the zombies showed up, it was dead on arrival. You had Miz and Damian Priest selling the zombies like they were real zombies. At least when ECW did it in 2006, no one took the zombies seriously. Everyone saw that as a joke. They treated it like a joke, and the guy was squashed in like 3 seconds, and we moved on. Miz and Damian Priest sold the zombies like they were actual zombies. Even the commentators sold it like it was so. And then throughout the match, you see Damian Priest and Miz working together to fend off the zombies. John Morrison comes out, he gets involved. At one point, it just stops being a match and it becomes a bad movie flick involving 3 wrestlers who I consider to be one of WWE's best talents. After Damian Priest beats the Miz, the zombies climb inside the ring and devour Miz like he was lunch. And that was it. That was the end of the match. I have no words. This was terrible. To me, even if you saw it from the perspective of, okay, this is a movie, supernatural, wouldn't Miz and John Morrison be zombies by now? It doesn't even make sense from that standpoint. None of this makes any sense. Easily one of the worst things WWE has done. I think it's the worst cinematic match they've done so far. Even the one with The Fiend and Braun Strowman wasn't this bad. And that's saying something. This is awful. A complete travesty to wrestling, a mockery of the sport of wrestling. And I pray for anybody that is forced to watch it. Imagine someone kidnapping you and making you watch this match over and over and over again. Things could be worse. They could kidnap you and make you watch the next match over and over again. Well, we're down to the final 2. The last 2 matches I've been dreading rewatching. I might need a drink after this match. I've only seen it once. I haven't gone back and watched it. Let's see what state I'm in by the end of it. And hopefully, I'll have the right mindset to finish this damn video.
Number 2. Seth Rollins versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Hell in a Cell.
I've been watching wrestling for up to 25 years now. I've seen all of the Hell in a Cell matches, every single one. Not one ended in a DQ. Well, technically it was a referee stoppage bullshit. DQ finish. The referee stopped the match after telling Seth Rollins not to use a sledgehammer. He did it. He called for the bell. I call that a DQ, but it's a referee stoppage. And so far, unless my memory fails me, I know maybe 2 Hell in a Cell matches that ended in a referee stoppage. This one, and then one more with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. Both of them sucked. This one's worse. I don't think I'm over-exaggerating. This might be the worst finish to any WWE match I've seen, or at least one of the worst. Good luck finding one worse than this. This match should have never even happened. I don't even know why we're here. Seth Rollins was on top of the world as the top babyface, something fans wanted. His reign was not great, but it was still Seth Rollins. Here comes Bray Wyatt, a man that was buried so many times I lost count. But then he came up with The Fiend, a gimmick he created himself, and it got over naturally, organically with the fans. And then of course, Vince McMahon decided, hey, I'm gonna throw him right at my top champion. Great idea, right? No. Everyone, literally everyone that saw this went, that is a terrible idea. Do not throw The Fiend at Seth Rollins. You will end up ruining both of those talents. Long and behold, look what happened. Everyone knew this wouldn't work, except Vince McMahon. I don't know about you. I hate the red lighting. Kane did it. Hated it. Sin Cara did it. Hated it. Now Bray Wyatt's doing it. Still not working for me. And throughout the match, it's literally someone entered a cheat code where you have infinite special moves and you're just spamming it. Curb stomp, curb stomp, curb stomp, curb stomp. Every 5 seconds it's a curb stomp. And that's literally the entire match. Curb stomp, Bray Wyatt gets up. Curb stomp, Bray Wyatt gets up. Within 5 minutes, the fans turn on Seth Rollins, who's your top babyface, by the way. Should never be the case. And then we get to the ending. We see Seth Rollins try to pin Bray. He won't stay down. So he hits him with a steel chair, and then hits him with a ladder in a steel chair, hits him with a toolbox. All that's okay. None of that is worth a disqualification. None of that is worth a referee stoppage. But then he gets a sledgehammer, and the referee's like, don't do it. Don't do it. This isn't you, Seth. This isn't you. Oh my God. It's horrible. Seth is selling it. He's losing his mind. He's crying in his hand. He hits this contraption he created. He hits the Fiend with it, and the referee calls for the bell. The match was so bad, even Seth Rollins said it was crap. He did an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin saying,
I came through that curtain and I was ready to strangle Vince McMahon. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson was there to hold me back.
You really shoot mad.
I was, oh, dude, I stared right into Vince's eyes because you know where he sits in that chair over there. I looked at him. He looked at me. We didn't say a single word to each other, and he walked out.
I don't know if Bray Wyatt ever talked about it, but I can guarantee you, even he thinks this is garbage. This was all from the mind of Vince McMahon. Every ounce of this match was micromanaged to a T. And it's one of those matches that make me glad he is gone, because this should never, ever happen again. It completely killed the Hell in a Cell concept. A match that was made to end feuds. This is supposed to be the end-all be-all match to any rivalry. For a decade now, that hasn't been the case. It's just been a gimmick match for a gimmick pay-per-view. Still, it has made a reputation for being the match that ends careers. This match absolutely killed that concept. Not one person takes this match seriously anymore. And that's not the only thing it killed. It killed Seth Rollins as a top babyface. As it was, he was already struggling to be seen as the top guy. This match completely destroyed it. Not too long after this, he went back to being a heel. He had to. There was no other path for Seth Rollins. I do wonder how this match would have turned out if Rollins and Wyatt were able to do what they wanted to do. Yeah, that's one of the worst matches I've ever seen. And I'm gonna surprise you. Despite how bad it is, it's not the worst. So now the question is, okay, Alyx, seriously, we've seen men win women's battle royals, we've seen the worst Hell in a Cell match of all time, and then we saw the Kingdom from Hell. What could possibly be a worse match than any of those? You might want to strap in. It's a match to this day that makes me realize it can always be worse.
And the worst match in WWE history is Michael Cole versus Jerry the King Lawler. WrestleMania 27.
I have just come to the conclusion that I'm crazy. That's the only way I can still be a fan nowadays. Y'all have to admit, if you've been watching wrestling as long as I have, 25 plus years, as much as you love it, you're crazy. There is no fan that exists today that would stick with wrestling with all the trauma and bullshit we sat through over the last 3-4 decades. Especially if you saw this match. If you saw this match and turned on Monday Night Raw the very next night, you are crazy. Michael Cole versus Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, on paper, you had to know it was gonna suck. I think we all thought it would be a quick 2-minute match, in and out. No. It was a match where Michael Cole got offense, if what you call what we saw offense. I understand he's a heel. I got what they were going for. His offense is the reason why people go wrestling is fake. Everything that he did to Jerry the King Lawler looked like he was getting hit by a pillow. Even more embarrassing, Jerry the King Lawler sold it. It made the match feel a lot longer than it actually was. And I'm still trying to understand why it wasn't a squash match. Why did it go on as long as it did? Who found this funny? Yeah, I know he found it funny. I'm talking about sane people. It was also heavily overbooked. The involvement of Jack Swagger, Stone Cold Steve Austin, even the anonymous GM, which ended up being Hornswoggle, by the way. I still don't get why they didn't just make Michael Cole the GM. Dear God, did I hate Michael Cole? You have no clue. This heel character was in our faces every single minute of every single WWE show. Michael Cole was almost too good as a heel. He didn't just have, oh, I want to see him get his ass kicked heat. He had white heat. I wanted Cole off of my television set. I wanted him gone. Regardless how you feel, I was hoping this match would be the end of it, because Jerry the King Lawler does beat Michael Cole. We have a celebration afterwards. Austin stuns Booker T. But then the anonymous GM shows up, and then he announces, because Stone Cold Steve Austin interfered in the match, he reversed the decision and gave a DQ win to Michael Cole. And the feud continued. By the summertime, it was done, thank God. But even after the feud was done, Michael Cole never lost his heat. Even after Jerry the King Lawler had a heart attack and Michael Cole had to tell the world what was going on, he still maintained the heat from this match. That's how you know it was bad. When you watch a bad match, and we do get bad matches nowadays, no matter how bad it is, how painful it is to watch, just tell yourself it's not as bad as Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler. This, my friends, is the absolute worst match in WWE history. There is no competition. There is nothing even close to it. And once you see this match, I believe you can handle whatever match comes your way, because it will never be as bad as this. Please. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. There it goes. My top 10 worst matches in WWE history. I'm pretty sure some of you will disagree, but I still hope you enjoyed yourselves. Let me know down below, what is your top 10 worst WWE matches of all time? Who knows, maybe we'll find a list worse than this one, and then I'll end up remaking it again. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Do me a solid favor, like the video, subscribe, click that bell, catch all my content when it comes out. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time, right here in Alyx's World. A place that is, was, and forever will be a safe space for wrestling fans like you. Peace.